Alright guys, so today in this episode we got our 12 Pro Max. I'm going to just start with our TagOn installation here, just show you proper orientation. As usual, take our Flex FPC, we're going to fold it all the way back behind itself, pinch and crimp it. So you have the FPC facing the cell. So take your TagOn and we're going to slide it behind the OEM Flex, so the metal plate will be against the cell. Line your FPCs up, they'll click in place. Fold your tab over from the TagOn and it'll be in the proper orientation to plug into the logic board. From there, we're going to move into unwrapping and disassembling our battery. So I always like to start at the edge with my tweezers, and I just pick away this edge so that I have some of the adhesive loose. Then I'll take that and begin to pull and peel it away. So there's several layers of adhesive here. Once we begin to pull this back, you'll see the OEM Flex still underneath, and that'll lead into the BMS. So you'll see that it's still wrapped up. So we'll take and just peel this top layer away. Now that I have it loose, I'll grab it and then just peel it all the way across from end to end. So once I have it peeled away from the top, what I'll do is I'll just flip the battery over and then begin to just continue to peel away this first layer of adhesive. So I'll just peel it all the way off the back, and you can see there's a second layer of adhesive underneath. So once the first layer is removed, the second layer is basically wrapped up and the BMS is folded up with it. So the BMS folds back up against itself onto the battery cell. So we'll peel this second layer of adhesive off the back all the way across. You'll see the leads begin to be exposed underneath. So once we have the adhesive pulled away from the back, you can see some glue adhesive still securing everything down nice and tight. But we'll flip the battery over and we'll grab the adhesive and we're going to pull straight out from the cell. So grab it tight and pull snug. The adhesive is kind of strong, but I'll show you here where the flex is. When you begin to pull straight out, the BMS will basically unfold itself. You'll see glue underneath holding it. It's kind of strong, so make sure you have a good hold on the BMS. There is some give here in the leads, so they are folded up a little bit. So once you do get the adhesive released, just be careful that you're not pulling too hard, but you do have some give there. You can see that when the adhesive releases, the leads still unfold as well. So I'm just going to pull this adhesive away so you can see clearly what I'm talking about. And then now that you have the BMS unfolded, that second layer of adhesive will just peel off the back. Go ahead and remove it fully. We provide all the layers of adhesives to reapply when you're finished. So you'll see here your laser welds from OEM securing the leads to the BMS. That's your aluminum, and the other is your nickel. So there's a series of about 5 weld points on these, different from previous. We'll grab our ceramic scissors and go ahead and sever this BMS from the cell. So make sure you go in between the BMS and the cell, reach in and just clip this lead. This lead will be a little easier to clip. It's aluminum, but you can see here that it's definitely separated. Once it's separated, flip your battery over. Don't reach in between. Even though we are using ceramic scissors, we don't want to cause any stress to that BMS. So reaching in between the cell and the BMS again, clipping it, a couple of clips because it's nickel. It's a little more tougher and thicker. So adjusting our light here, we have our BMS. What we're going to begin to do in this step is to prep it for spot welding. So I'm using our sharpening pin here, our flathead, and I'm using the edge. What I'm going to do is basically grind these welds away. This is the residual lead that's left over from the OEM cell. So I'm just going to grind back and forth, giving myself about 1/4 of an inch, just back and forth with the grinding head. That's just going to grind those welds away and then allow the residual lead to be removed from the BMS pad here. So you can see the aluminum is pretty quick and easy, a few passes back and forth. I'm just smoothing that out, make sure we have a good contact pad to weld to. Moving on to our nickel lead here. Same thing, I keep my whole forearm braced against the table. That way I have a good hold on my grinder here, and I'm having precise motions just back and forth, not allowing any friction or wild deviation to shoot my grinding head off in the wrong direction, causing any further damage. But so a few passes. It's going to take a couple more passes back and forth just because this nickel lead is a little thicker, but you'll see it begin to go ahead and break away a couple more passes and those welds will be done. So I'm going to take my tweezers here and I'm going to do a little pull test to see that it's still secure just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and grind a couple more times. You can see that pad move just a little bit. So basically, if you remember on the iPhone 11, that tab was folded up against the pad. It's basically the same thing, but you can see a plastic cover in between. So it's basically the tab is now folded up onto the protective cover. But since those are clean and smooth, we'll grab our XCAP BMS and remove it from our packaging. We'll take our protective covers off, and you can see our leads here. This is going to be our full nickel lead, so just as the original, and then we have a modified lead here. So this is the aluminum lead with our laser welded nickel tab that's secured onto the aluminum lead. So we opted for the laser welding, as mentioned in previous videos. It's been much more secure through QC than the ultrasonic, as you've seen in other batteries in this manner. So I'm just using the back of the tweezers here to go ahead and lay down this adhesive and secure it. It's pre-applied, but I'm just pressing it into the crease of the cell, and I'll remove this protective cover. So go ahead and drop in the comments for me. Let me know what you didn't see in this model that you've seen in the previous models, what the OEMs left out on this model. So we'll go ahead and slip this BMS back into place. So the adhesive here that we removed the protective cover, it's to go ahead and secure the BMS board. So we'll align the OEM flex to the outside of the cell and then go ahead and press it up against the cell and have it pressed in and secure. So then we'll take our tabs and leads from the cell, and they're going to fold up against the BMS, and you can see the adhesive tab is a little longer. It's going to allow the tabs to basically secure up to the bottom end cap of that BMS board, and then we're just going to fold them over to 90-degree angle and get them flush and flat at spot welding. So the same thing, just giving it a 90-degree crease and making sure that it's flat and flush to the pad. So we're going to go ahead and get this aligned using the back of our tweezers, make sure that it's flat as can be. And then we'll grab our spot welder and we'll go ahead and begin to get this. So taking both pins, we'll take one pin and create a brace point here. Then we're going to go ahead and use our other pin and just tack on. So we're going to do light touches. I'll go ahead and show you right here what the blowout looks like. That's basically when you have, you're pulling away too quick and it causes an arc. That's going to cause the lead to create and blow out a hole directly through. So I always like to show this in the videos what it looks like here. You can see there's two of them there on the bottom, but don't worry if this does happen to you. I just kind of want to show you that there is, room for error here. It doesn't have to be 100% precise. It don't have to feel like it's a, fail if that happens. Just begin to spot weld around those, just making sure that you're doing light touches, but giving a secure. You'll hear a beep and you'll feel and see the actual weld in place, and then you can pull your pin away. Again, just to show you what that looks like. If you see those sparks, you know that you're pulling away too quick, but you don't want to apply any pressure here. It's a misconception on doing this spot welding. As mentioned in this series, you want to just do a feather light touch. If you're applying and trying to push the pin in when you feel like you're not welding properly, you're going to do yourself a disservice here. So just create your brace point. You want to do light touches. So try to do like a series of between 4 to 8 welds, and I always try to retouch them 1 or 2 times to make sure that they are secure in place. But when I am finished spot welding, I always use my tweezers to come in and do a pull test here just to make sure that they are secure and that I don't have any loose, weak welds. So once it's secure, I'll check both leads. So moving on to the other lead, you'll see that here that both of them are secure. And you can see on both leads that I created a couple of blowouts there, but there's no problem here. We have plenty of secure welds there around them that lead is going to be having 100% contact and not give us any issues moving forward. So from there, we're ready for our final wrap. So we'll grab our first piece of adhesive, our more narrow rectangle piece. We'll get it aligned in between the folds of the cell. So this sticker piece is going to be a little bit longer. So I'll grab my ceramic scissors because I have them readily available. And I'm going to go ahead and get this adhesive lined up. And then I'll go ahead and clip this end that's hanging over a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and press the adhesive into place. So it's going to be long enough to line up against the edge of the cell at the beginning of the BMS board, and then we will basically take the end of the battery and fold it over itself, and that's going to allow the adhesive to wrap around the BMS and protect it. So again, mention in the comments what you didn't see in this battery when we were doing disassembly, what the OEMs left out. As mentioned in the previous models, have we seen and that we've had to remove and replace. So the next step here would be take our protective cover board here, our plastic piece. You can see it has open end on both sides, so you can slide it on and push it up against the fold of the original cell, and then push it up against in place and make sure that it's snug. So it won't go all the way to the edge of the cell. There will be a gap there as usual, and then on the back you'll see that it will go up to the edge of the cell. So once you have the protective board in place, we can begin to apply our second piece of adhesive. This is the adhesive with the tabs. So I'll do a little bit of a preference on the alignment here. So you want to take the corner of the battery cell and align it with the inner corner of the sticker, and then slide it over to give some overhang. That's basically just going to center the sticker. But you want to align that corner of the sticker with the corner of the battery, and then align the sticker center with the cell. That's basically going to put your tabs in the right position. Once we fold over the longer tab to wrap the bottom and back of the battery, then your side tabs will be in place to just fold over and be in the proper position. So once we have it secured to the cell, we'll take the battery and fold it up on its end, and that's going to secure that final wrap to the end cap, and then we can pull the longer tab up and over and press it down to secure the protective board and give everything a nice clean looking finish. So once we have the back of the battery wrapped up, you can see that our tabs are lined up at the end and they're ready to just pull straight over and finish this job up. So we'll grab our tweezers, we'll pull those tabs and pull them tight, making sure that our OEM flex is snug against the cell, and we'll do the same thing to the other side. So we'll go ahead and grab this tab, we'll pull it straight over and get it pressed onto the cell, and that's our nice good clean finish. So what I want to do is just do a little quick recap of the TagOn connection. So we'll move on to our FPC connection on the battery, and you can see that we have it folded back against itself facing the actual cell. We'll align our TagOn, slide it into place, and then press in the FPCs, quick push, and those will connect, and then fold over the tab from the actual TagOn, and then it's ready to install and connect to the logic board. So I hope this was helpful again. I appreciate your time as always. Again, thank you.